Our next new ruler is the Easy Diagonal Sets ruler.
With this ruler, cutting the side and corner setting triangles for diagonally set quilts is a snap.
No more complicated math to determine how to cut side and corner setting triangles.
All the math is done for you and seam allowances are included.
It's designed to cut these setting triangles for blocks that finish 3 inches to 12 inches square.
No more cutting giant squares for large quilt blocks and then cutting them diagonally into triangles.
Simply cut a fabric strip and then cut the side and corner setting triangles from that strip.
Instructions are printed right on the ruler.
Well, let's take a look at that ruler, Marianne. And we've got 2 colors of marks. We have black lines that run horizontal
to the long side,
parallel to the long side of the hypotenuse. These are the lines that you will use to cut the side setting triangle
for your quilt. Right.
So the first thing you would do is go down the ruler and choose your block size. So if we were working with a 5-inch block, we would stop at this mark. This will be the line we'll use for cutting. We need to determine a strip size.
Okay.
So we would put a ruler on, measure from
1,
the
2,
line.
3. And this I go
comes
up
right
there.
out at 4 inches.
4 inches,
pretty
right.
slick.
Okay.
So we would cut a 4-inch strip and then cut our side setting triangles from that, and we'll show how to do that.
Okay.
We're going to be working with a 3-inch block here in a minute.
Okay, so should we do that now? Or should we talk about the other side of the ruler?
Let's show about the other side.
Here's the yellow lines on the ruler are the ones that you use when you're cutting your corner triangles. It works the same way in that you look on the ruler to find the size of block. So here's a 3-inch block, 4-inch block, and so forth to a 12-inch block along the side of the ruler.
Right. Now, if you wanted to float your quilt, you would go up the next block size to cut your pieces.
Okay.
We've got a little quilt laid out in front of us, and it's a little diagonally set quilt, and I have started to set it together, but the pieces that I don't have in place yet are those side setting triangles and the corner triangles that would go at the 4 corners of the quilt.
So let's cut the side setting triangles first, okay? So we're going to use the black lines on our ruler. And the little blocks
are going to finish 3 inches. It's very important that you work with the finished size of your block.
So I look on my ruler, and I find here on the ruler, when I've got it oriented the right way for my side setting triangles, here's my mark for my 3-inch block. So we take another ruler. We start with the 1-inch on our regular ruler, resting right on that line. We count up here, and it looks like we want to cut
about 3 5/8. Well, let's go up a little and make
it would be 2.
Yeah,
2 5/8. But I think let's make it just a hair bigger and cut it at 2 3/4, and we've cut a strip that width.
Yeah, that's just an easier cut.
Okay, so I've got my strip, and I think I'll open it out.
Hold this while you get your strip down.
A little bigger. So I'm cutting 2 layers.
And we're cutting the side setting triangles first.
Okay.
So we're going to lay the ruler down. I think we need to
scooch
come
it
over
over
a little
for
bit.
me a little bit. Okay. And I want my strips nice and even, and so I'm going to put my ruler on here. And the neat thing about it is I go back to my 3 inches, so I reorient myself that 3 inches is my finished size. I want to make sure that I've got adequate strip under there, and I do. Get it nice and straight, and I'm going to cut across like this, and then cut down here.
That first one's always hard. But
okay. There's my first set. Now I just rotate my ruler around. I put my 3-inch line for my block size along the edge of the fabric. Cut another one. Now I'm keeping my rotary cutter open as long as it's in my hand. If I were to put it down, I would close it. Okay. And you need a different number of these depending on how big your quilt is. I'm going to cut one more set.
Okay.
Okay.
So the way Marianne's cutting these, it's putting the straight grain of the fabric on the hypotenuse or longest side of the triangle, so that will fall to the outside of our quilt. Let's lay some of those pieces in on our little quilt.
Okay. They go in the sides and on the ends.
It's starting to look kind of cute.
It is cute. Yeah, I think you need to finish this. And here's one for over here. And we'd, of course, put them along the bottom as well.
Okay, our next step would be to cut the corner setting triangles that will go on the 4 corners of the quilt. So again, the finished sizes of the blocks are down the ruler. For 3 to 12-inch blocks, we're working with a 3-inch block, so we need to determine the width of strip to start with. So we take a ruler, line it up with that 3-inch block mark, and come up to the bottom of the yellow line here. And in this case, it's 2 5/8 inches. And 2 3/4 is easier to cut.
So we'll cut 2 3/4.
Yeah.
And we have a strip already cut that's 2 3/4 for this little quilt. And I'm going to open it out. So you just want to cut 2 layers?
Yeah, 2 is
okay.
Easy. All right. So the first step, or the next step, rather, will be to lay the ruler down so that the yellow line for the 3-inch block is along the raw edge of the strip. And you will cut along the ruler.
Down the side.
Down the side.
Okay. So that gives us 2 of our corners.
2 corner triangles. And now we turn the ruler around. I know the ruler seems big, but it has to be to do those 12-inch blocks, which is a very common block size.
Right.
Lay the ruler down, so the 3-inch mark. So we've turned the ruler around. And cut.
And there's
and
our
we
corners.
now have our 4 corner triangles.
And every diagonally set quilt needs 4 corners. The number of side pieces depends on how many blocks are in your quilt. So let's lay these in.
So we hope you enjoy using the Easy Diagonal Sets ruler to make setting your blocks on point or in a diagonal set much, much easier.